Watch before delete. My alien roommate didn't let me out of the bedroom all night. Evan did not think much about the warning at first. Living on Orion Station meant strange rules were normal. The station was home to many species from different worlds. Some needed cold air. Some needed silence at certain hours. Some followed rituals that made no sense to humans. Evan had learned to accept all of it. That was why, when his alien roommate Kale spoke in a calm but firm voice, Evan almost laughed. "You must stay inside the bedroom tonight," Kale said. "From sunset cycle until morning cycle." Evan looked up from his tablet. "What? Why?" Kale stood near the door, tall and still, his silver-gray skin reflecting the soft light. His eyes did not blink. Kale's species rarely showed emotion, but something about his posture felt tense. "It is necessary," Kale replied. Evan stretched on the bed. "Is this another one of your species' rules, like the Quiet Tower thing?" Kale did not answer right away. He reached out and pressed a panel on the wall. The door slid shut with a smooth sound and locked. Evan sat up. "Hey, that's not funny." Kale finally turned to face him. "This is not humor." The room felt smaller all of a sudden. Evan stood and walked to the door, pressing the open panel. Nothing happened. The light stayed red. "You locked me in," Evan said, trying to keep his voice calm. "Yes." "Kale, I have class tomorrow morning. And I need to eat." "You have food here," Kale said, pointing to a small storage unit. "Enough for one night." Evan crossed his arms. "You're not explaining anything." Kale's eyes shifted slightly, a sign of stress in his species. "Explanations increase risk." That sentence made Evan uneasy. Outside the bedroom window, Orion Station slowly rotated, stars drifting past like quiet witnesses. Everything looked normal, too normal. Evan sighed. "Look, if this is some kind of test, I'm not interested." Kale stepped closer. "Evan, you are my assigned human, my responsibility. That doesn't give you the right to lock me in." Kale hesitated. "If you leave this room tonight, you may not survive." The words landed heavily. Evan searched Kale's face, expecting to see a joke or exaggeration. There was none. Only seriousness. "What's happening?" Evan asked quietly. Kale turned away. "You must rest." With that, Kale moved to the other side of the room and sat on the floor, back against the wall, remaining alert and awake. Evan stared at him. "You're staying here?" "Yes." That made things worse somehow. Evan lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. His mind raced. Kale was strange, yes, but never cruel, never controlling. They had lived together for months without serious problems. Something was wrong. An hour passed. Then the lights flickered. Evan sat up again. "Did you see that?" Kale nodded. "The wave has begun." "What wave?" Before Kale could answer, a low vibration passed through the floor. It was gentle but noticeable, like a deep breath taken by the station itself. Evan felt a slight pressure in his head, then it was gone. "That was nothing," Evan said, though he was not sure. Kale's hands clenched. "For you, perhaps." From the hallway outside, faint sounds echoed, footsteps, voices, then silence. Evan stood again. "People are out there." "Yes." "Then why can't I be?" Kale looked directly at him. "Because they are not human." Another vibration passed, stronger this time. The lights dimmed and returned. Evan swallowed. "Kale, you're scaring me." "That is not my goal." A soft alarm sounded somewhere far away. Not loud, not urgent, almost like it did not want to be heard. Evan walked to the window. The station traffic lanes outside were empty. No cargo ships, no shuttles. "That's not normal," he said. "No," Kale agreed. Minutes stretched into long silence. Kale remained awake, watching the door. Evan tried to distract himself with his tablet, but the connection was unstable. Messages failed to load. News feeds froze. Another alarm sounded, closer now. Then a voice came over the station speakers. "Attention all residents," the calm artificial voice said. "Please remain in your assigned areas until further notice." Evan frowned. "Assigned areas?" Kale stood immediately. "Stay back from the door." Footsteps rushed past outside. Someone shouted in a language Evan did not understand. The voice sounded panicked. Evan moved toward the door again. They need help. Cale placed himself between Evan and the door. They cannot be helped by you. Not yet. A loud thump hit the wall outside, followed by silence. Evan's heart pounded. What is happening to them? Cale closed his eyes for a brief moment. Their minds are reacting incorrectly. Reacting to what? The wave, Cale said. It affects thought patterns, emotional balance, physical control. Evan waited. And humans? Cale opened his eyes. Humans react differently. Another vibration passed through the room. This time Evan felt a brief dizziness, then clarity. His thoughts felt sharp, focused. Cale staggered slightly, placing a hand on the wall. "Cale?" Evan asked. "I am functional," Cale said, though his voice was slower. "For now." Evan noticed something strange. While Cale seemed weaker with each vibration, Evan felt fine, better than fine. Outside the door, something scraped against the metal. A shadow passed under the crack of the door. Evan took a step back. The scraping stopped. Then a soft knock came. "Open," a voice said. It sounded wrong, flat, empty. Cale moved fast, pressing both hands against the door panel, reinforcing the lock. "Do not respond," Cale said sharply. The knocking grew louder. "Open, human inside." Evan's blood ran cold. "How do they know?" "They sense you," Cale said. "Humans are clear during the wave." The knocking stopped suddenly. Heavy footsteps moved away. Silence returned. Evan exhaled shakily. "You locked me in to protect me." "Yes, from them, from everyone." Another station announcement played, distorted this time. "Emergency protocols active. Non-essential movement prohibited." Evan looked at Cale. "This isn't just an accident, is it?" "No," Cale said. "This was expected, feared." Evan sat slowly on the bed. "And humans?" Cale hesitated. "Humans were not supposed to be here when it began." The lights dimmed again, staying low this time. Cale lowered himself to the floor, breathing slowly. "The night has only started." Evan stared at the locked door, understanding now why he had been told to stay inside. Whatever was happening on Orion Station, it was hunting something. And that something was human. The night did not feel like a normal night anymore. Time moved strangely inside the small bedroom. Evan sat on the edge of the bed, watching the locked door as if it might suddenly open on its own. The low light made long shadows on the walls. The station usually hummed with life, but now the sounds were broken and uneven, like a machine struggling to breathe. Cale remained on the floor, his back against the wall. His eyes were open, but his movements were slow. Each time a deep vibration passed through the station, Cale's breathing became heavier. Evan noticed it clearly now. "You're getting worse," Evan said. Cale did not answer right away. When he finally spoke, his voice sounded strained. "The wave is increasing in strength." "And I'm still fine," Evan said quietly. That truth scared him more than the alarms. Another vibration rolled through the room. Evan felt it pass through him like a soft wind. His thoughts stayed clear. His body felt steady. Cale, however, winced and pressed a hand against his head. Evan stood up. "Sit on the bed." Cale shook his head. "If I lose control, I must not be near you." "That's not happening," Evan said. He moved closer and offered his hand. Cale looked at it for a long moment, then accepted. Evan helped him onto the bed. Cale's skin felt cooler than usual. Outside, a sudden loud crash echoed through the hallway. Something heavy hit the wall, then slid to the floor. Evan flinched. That didn't sound good. Cale closed his eyes. "Many species are experiencing motor failure." "Motor failure," Evan repeated. "They cannot control their bodies correctly," Cale said. "Fear increases it." Evan ran a hand through his hair. "This wave, where did it come from?" Cale opened his eyes slightly. "Deep space, unknown origin. It interacts with neural patterns." "Brains," Evan said. "Yes." Another announcement crackled over the speakers, the voice less calm than before. "Emergency update. Multiple sectors are offline. All residents are advised to remain still and await assistance." Evan laughed weakly. "That's helpful." Cale did not react. Minutes passed, then more footsteps rushed by the door. Voices rose in panic, then faded. Something hit the door once hard, then moved on. Evan backed away instinctively. They're looking for humans. Yes, Cale said. Some believe humans can stop the effects. Can we? Evan asked. Cale hesitated. We do not know. That uncertainty causes fear. Evan leaned against the wall. So I'm a target either way. Cale nodded slowly. That is why you must stay hidden. The lights flickered again, but this time they stayed off. Darkness filled the room, broken only by emergency glow strips near the floor. Evan's eyes adjusted. Power's out. Yes. The station shook harder than before. Evan grabbed the bed frame to steady himself. Cale let out a low sound halfway between pain and focus. The wave peak is near. Evan felt a sudden pressure in his chest, then release. His heart beat faster, but he felt alert, awake, ready. Cale slumped slightly forward. Cale, Evan said, kneeling beside him, stay with me. I am trying, Cale replied. Evan looked around the room. He noticed something he had ignored earlier, a small emergency console near the door. It was meant for maintenance access. I might be able to help, Evan said. Cale's eyes sharpened slightly. Do not open the door. I won't, Evan promised, but I can check the system. Evan moved to the console and pressed the activation panel. To his surprise, the screen lit up instantly, responding faster than usual. That's odd, Evan said. Cale watched closely. The system recognizes your neural pattern. My brain? Evan asked. Yes, humans interface well under stress. Evan scrolled through the console menus easily, though he had never used one like this before. The information made sense to him in a strange way. I can see station data, Evan said. Life signs, a lot of them are unstable, Cale swallowed. The wave disrupts emotional regulation. Evan paused. Cale, the console is locking out non-human access. Cale let out a quiet breath. As expected. What do you mean? The station AI was designed to adapt, Cale said. It is prioritizing the most stable minds. Evan stared at the screen. Humans. Yes. Another crash echoed nearby. This one was closer. The door panel flickered. Evan's heart jumped. The lock. It will hold, Cale said. For now, a distorted voice came through the door. Human, we need you. Evan stepped back. No, the voice grew louder. You must help. Others are failing. Cale shook his head weakly. They are not thinking clearly. The voice changed tone, becoming angry. Open the door. The door shook as something struck it. Evan felt fear rise, but it did not overwhelm him. Instead, his mind focused sharply. They won't stop, Evan said. No, Cale agreed. Fear drives them. Evan looked at Cale. If I don't go out, people will get hurt. If you do, Cale said, you may lose control of the situation. Another strike hit the door. A crack appeared in the frame. Evan clenched his fists. I won't let them take me. Cale reached out and grabbed Evan's arm. His grip was weaker than usual, but firm in intent. Listen to me, humans are not meant to hide forever, but not like this. The door shook again. The lock alarm beeped. Evan looked back at the console. There's a manual override for sector systems, life support, stabilizers. Cale's eyes widened slightly. From here. Yes, Evan said, but it needs constant input. Cale understood immediately. You would be seen. Better than being dragged out, Evan said. Another vibration hit. Cale gasped, then steadied. You trust me? Evan asked. Cale met his eyes. With my life. Evan turned back to the console and placed both hands on it. The screen brightened, symbols shifting rapidly. Outside, the pounding stopped. The voices fell silent. The station hummed, weakly but steady. Evan frowned. Something changed. Cale listened carefully. Sector power is stabilizing. I did that, Evan said quietly. Cale looked at him with something close to awe. You are shaping the system. Evan swallowed. I don't know how, I'm just doing what feels right. The console beeped again, requesting further commands. Cale leaned back against the bed, exhausted but aware. The wave is still active. This is temporary, Evan nodded. Then I'll keep it temporary alive. From the speakers, a new message played, clearer, focused. Human operator detected. Assistance requested at Central Control. Evan looked at Kale. Kale closed his eyes. The galaxy is beginning to notice. Evan glanced at the door one more time. The bedroom that had been his prison now felt like the last safe place before something much bigger. And he knew, deep inside, that staying inside forever was no longer an option. The bedroom no longer felt like a shelter. It felt like a command room. Evan stood in front of the glowing console, his hands resting on the surface. Lines of data moved smoothly under his fingers, responding to small movements and simple thoughts. He did not fully understand how he was doing it, but the system understood him. Behind him, Kale sat on the bed, breathing slowly. He looked tired, but his eyes were sharp again. "You are holding the sector stable," Kale said. "For now," Evan replied. "But the system keeps asking for more input." "That means the wave is still spreading," Kale said. "Other sectors are failing." Evan looked at the screen. He could see parts of the station marked in warning colors. Life signs blinked on and off. Some were steady, many were not. "This is bad," Evan said. "Yes," Kale agreed. "This is worse than predicted." Another vibration rolled through the station. Evan felt it clearly, but it did not slow him down. His mind stayed calm, focused. Kale, however, leaned back and closed his eyes for a moment. "You should rest," Evan said, turning toward him. Kale shook his head. "If I sleep, I may not wake correctly." Evan did not like that answer. A soft chime sounded from the console. "Human operator," the station AI said, its voice now clearer than before. "Central Control requires assistance. Current operators are non-responsive." Evan stared at the message. "Central Control," he repeated. "That's the heart of the station." "Yes," Kale said. "If it fails, everything fails." Evan's chest tightened. "So they want me to go there." "They will continue calling," Kale said, "and others will come for you if you do not." Evan looked at the locked door. The frame was cracked from earlier impacts. "I can't protect this room forever," Evan said. Kale slowly stood, using the bed for support. "Then the choice has arrived." Evan turned to him. "You knew this would happen." "Yes," Kale said honestly. "I hoped it would be later." Another message appeared on the console, this one urgent. "Human assistance required immediately." Evan exhaled. "If I leave, what happens to you?" Kale straightened. "I will remain here. This room is still shielded." "That's not what I meant," Evan said. "I mean, will you be okay?" Kale looked at him for a long moment. "My species values logic above all, but tonight I value something else." Evan waited. "You," Kale finished. Evan felt a strange tightness in his throat. "I won't leave you behind," Evan said. Kale stepped closer. "You must. If humans are what the station needs, then hiding you would be wrong." Evan clenched his fists. "I didn't ask for this." "Neither did the station," Kale replied gently. The lights flickered again, weaker this time. Evan looked back at the console. "If I go, I lose access to this system." "Yes," Kale said, "but you will gain access to something larger." Evan reached up and unlocked the door manually using the console. The lock disengaged with a soft hiss. The hallway outside was dark. Emergency lights glowed along the floor. The air smelled sharp, metallic. The station felt strained. Evan stepped forward slowly. Kale placed a hand on his shoulder. "You are not prey, Evan." Evan looked back at him. "You are the calm in the storm," Kale said. Evan nodded once. "Lock the door after me." Kale did. The hallway was quiet but not empty. Evan could sense movement farther down, shapes, shadows. He walked carefully, guided by the floor lights. As he moved, systems around him seemed to wake up. Panels lit, doors unlocked. The station reacted to his presence. "That's new," Evan muttered. A figure appeared ahead. A tall being from another species, leaning against the wall, breathing hard. When it saw Evan, its eyes widened. "Human, you are real." "I am," Evan said calmly. The being tried to step forward, then stumbled. "Easy," Evan said, reaching out and steadying it. The moment Evan touched them, their breathing slowed. "That helped," the being said in surprise. Evan pulled his hand back slowly. I don't know why. Your mind, the being said. It is stable, it spreads stability. Evan did not have time to think about that. Another alarm sounded, this one directional. Central control, Evan said. That way. He moved faster now, breaking into a jog. More beings appeared along the path. Some watched him with hope, others with fear. None stopped him. When he reached the central control doors, they were already open. Inside, the room was chaos. Several non-human operators sat at stations, unresponsive or frozen in place. The main display flickered wildly. The station AI spoke again. Human operator interface required. Evan stepped forward. I'm here. A central console rose from the floor, reshaping itself. Evan placed his hands on it. The moment he did, the noise in the room faded. Data stream slowed. Systems aligned. Evan felt connected to the station in a way he had never felt connected to anything before. He could feel pressure points, weak areas, places about to fail. Okay, Evan whispered. Let's fix this. He focused on balance, power flow, life support. The station responded. Outside the control room, beings watched through the glass, stunned. One spoke softly. The human is doing it. Another shook their head. No one can think that clearly under the wave. Evan redirected power, stabilized gravity, reinforced shields. Sweat formed on his brow, but his hand stayed steady. The wave hit again, stronger than before. Some observers collapsed. Evan stayed standing. Why? He whispered to himself. The AI answered quietly. Human neural patterns adapt under extreme uncertainty. You do not freeze. You decide. Evan swallowed. That shouldn't be special. In this moment, the AI said, it is everything. Minutes passed, then more. Slowly, the warnings turned from red to yellow. Life signs stabilized. The station's shaking lessened. Evan stepped back from the console, breathing hard. I can't hold this forever, he said. You do not need to, the AI replied. The wave is weakening. Relief washed through him. Then a new message appeared. External signal detected. Evan frowned. External. Yes, the AI said. Source unknown. Watching. Evan looked at the stars through the control room window. Something out there was paying attention now, not just to the station, to humans. Back in the bedroom, Cale sat alone, feeling the station steady around him. He knew, without being told, that Evan had stepped into something far larger than either of them. And the night was not over yet. The station was calmer, but it was not safe yet. Evan stood inside central control, breathing slowly as the main screen showed stable systems across several sectors. The shaking had stopped. The alarms were quieter now, spaced far apart. But deep inside the data, Evan could feel something else. The wave was still there. It was weaker, yes, but not gone. You are maintaining balance, the station AI said. However, external observation continues. Evan looked up at the large window facing space. Stars drifted silently. Nothing looked different, but he felt watched. Who is observing? Evan asked. Unknown, the AI replied. The signal does not match known species. Evan did not like that answer. Behind the glass walls of the control room, several beings stood and watched him. Some leaned on each other for support. Others simply stared, eyes wide, as if Evan was something they did not understand. He turned back to the console. How long until the wave fully passes? Estimated time, several cycles, the AI said. Evan frowned. I can't stay connected that long. You will not be alone, the AI replied. The doors slid open, and a group of station officials entered carefully. Their movements were slow and controlled, as if they were afraid sudden motion might break something. One of them stepped forward. A tall being with smooth blue skin and a badge marking high authority. Human Evan, the official said. I am Director Selen. Evan stepped back from the console. The station is stable for now. Selen studied him carefully. You did what our best systems could not. I just helped where I could, Evan said. Selen tilted their head. That humility is noted. Another vibration passed through the station, smaller than before but enough to make several officials stumble. Evan felt it pass through him without trouble. Selen noticed. "You are unaffected." "Yes," Evan said, "I think all humans are like this." A quiet wave of murmurs spread through the room. Selen raised a hand. "Silence." They looked back at Evan. "Can you expand this stabilization beyond this station?" Evan hesitated. "I don't know." The AI spoke. "Human neural stability allows adaptive command response. Expansion is possible with guidance." Selen's eyes widened slightly. "Meaning?" "Meaning," Evan said slowly. "You want humans to fix this everywhere." Selen did not deny it. "That's not a small request," Evan said. "No," Selen replied. "It is a survival one." Evan glanced at the screen again. He saw distant stations flashing warning signals, ships drifting without control, lives at risk. He thought of Kale, alone in the bedroom, trusting him. "I need to talk to my roommate," Evan said. Selen nodded. "You have limited time." The AI guided Evan through the corridors using emergency lights. As he walked, the station reacted to him. Doors opened early. Lights brightened when he passed. Others stepped aside, giving him space. When Evan reached the bedroom door, it unlocked instantly. Kale looked up in surprise. "You returned." "For a moment," Evan said. Kale stood slowly. "The station feels calmer." "It is," Evan said, "but this isn't over." Kale studied Evan's face. "They want more from you." "Yes." Kale closed his eyes briefly. "Of course they do." Evan sat on the bed. "Kale, they want humans to help stop this wave across other stations, maybe even worlds." Kale was silent. "That could change everything," Evan continued. "Humans won't be invisible anymore." Kale opened his eyes. "You were never invisible, just underestimated." Evan sighed. "I don't want humans treated like tools." "They will not be," Kale said. "Not if you stand as yourself." Another vibration passed. Kale winced slightly but stayed upright. "You should not push yourself," Evan said. "I will endure," Kale replied. "Tonight has taught me something." "What?" Evan asked. "That logic without courage is incomplete," Kale said, "and humans have both." Evan felt the weight of the moment settle on him. "If I agree," Evan said, "things will change. People will expect humans to fix every crisis." "Yes," Kale said honestly. "And if I refuse," Evan said, "people will suffer." Kale nodded. "Also true." Evan stood. "I guess that means there's no easy choice." "There never is," Kale said. "That is why humans matter." They walked back towards central control together, moving slowly. When they arrived, Selen was waiting. "Have you decided?" Selen asked. Evan took a deep breath. "I will help stabilize nearby stations, but humans will not be owned, controlled, or forced." Selen considered this. "Agreed." Evan narrowed his eyes. "Fully agreed." Selen nodded. "We will formalize protections." The AI spoke. "Multiple human signatures are now active. Others are responding." Evan blinked. "Others?" "Yes," the AI said. "Humans across the network are awakening to the wave." The main screen changed, showing small green signals appearing across space. Humans, pilots, engineers, students, workers, all calm, all steady. A quiet awe filled the room. Selen whispered, "There are more of you than we realized." Evan smiled faintly. "We're everywhere." The wave surged one final time, stronger than before. Several beings collapsed. Evan stepped forward and placed both hands on the console again. He focused on connection, not control. Balance, not force. Across the screen, systems aligned, stations stabilized, ships regained direction. The wave broke. Silence followed, then relief. Life signs turned green across the map. A soft cheer rose from the room, careful and emotional. The AI spoke again. "Crisis event resolved." Evan stepped back, exhausted. Kale caught him before he fell. "You did it," Kale said quietly. "We did," Evan replied. Selen approached slowly. "Tonight will be remembered." Evan looked around at the many faces watching him. "Make sure it's remembered the right way." Selen bowed their head. "Humanity will no longer be overlooked." Evan looked out at the stars again. Something out there still watched, but now it knew something important. Humans were not weak, they were not loud, they were calm in the dark, and that made all the difference. The wave was gone, but its shadow remained. Orion's station slowly returned to life. Lights brightened. Systems hummed with steady rhythm. Emergency signals faded one by one. People stepped out from safe rooms and corridors, moving carefully as if afraid the calm might break again. Evan sat in central control, hands resting on his knees. His body felt heavy now. The sharp focus that had carried him through the crisis was fading, leaving behind deep tiredness. Kale stood beside him, steadying him with one arm. "You should rest," Kale said. Evan nodded. "Soon." Director Selen remained nearby, speaking quietly with other officials. Their eyes kept returning to Evan, full of respect and uncertainty. The station AI spoke again, softer than before. "All systems are stable. No further wave activity detected." A gentle breath seemed to pass through the station, as if it had been holding that breath for a long time. "It's over," Evan said. "For now," Kale replied. Selen approached. "Human Evan, your actions saved thousands of lives." Evan looked up. "I wasn't alone." Selen inclined their head. "Still, the impact is clear. Reports are spreading across the network." Evan frowned. "Reports?" "Yes," Selen said. "Other stations detected the same wave. Many were not prepared. Your intervention helped stabilize nearby sectors." Evan's stomach tightened. "What about the ones farther away?" Selen paused. "Some were not as fortunate." Silence followed. Evan looked down. "We can't ignore that." "No," Selen agreed. "Which is why the council is already meeting." Kale stiffened slightly. "Meeting about what?" Selen looked at both of them. "About humans." Evan let out a slow breath. "That was fast." "When survival is involved," Selen said, "decisions move quickly." Evan stood carefully. His legs felt weak, but they held. "I need to go back to my room," Evan said, "just for a while." Selen nodded. "You are free to do so, but be aware, this station is no longer just a home for you." Evan met Selen's gaze. "I don't want special treatment." Selen answered honestly. "That may no longer be possible." The walk back to the bedroom felt different. People watched Evan as he passed. Some nodded in thanks. Some stepped aside. A few looked afraid, not of Evan himself, but of what he represented. Evan did not like that. Inside the room, Kale locked the door again, though this time it felt like a choice, not a cage. Evan sat on the bed and leaned back, closing his eyes. "I didn't plan any of this," Evan said quietly. "I know," Kale replied. After a moment, Evan laughed softly. "I just wanted cheap housing." Kale allowed a small expression of humor. "Humans are rarely prepared for their own importance." Evan opened his eyes. "Do you think the galaxy will try to control us?" Kale considered the question carefully. "Some will try, others will fear, a few will understand." "And you?" Evan asked. Kale met his gaze. "I trust." That meant more than Evan expected. Hours passed. News feeds stabilized. Messages poured in from across the station. Some were thanks, some were questions, some were demands. Evan ignored most of them. Later, the station AI requested contact again. "Human Evan," it said. "The Interspecies Council requests your presence." Evan sighed. "Figures." Kale stood. "You should not go alone." "I know," Evan said. "You're coming with me." Kale paused, then nodded. The council chamber was large and circular, filled with representatives from many species. Screens hovered in the air, showing other stations, other worlds. When Evan entered, the room fell silent. He hated that part. Director Selen gestured for him to stand at the center. "Human Evan," Selen said, voice carrying across the chamber. "You have demonstrated a unique capability." Evan raised a hand. "Before this turns into something uncomfortable, I want to say something." Murmurs spread, but Selen allowed it. "I didn't save the station because I'm human," Evan said. "I saved it because I was here." "Any human would have done the same," a representative spoke sharply. "That is exactly the concern." Evan turned toward them. "Concern?" "Yes," the being said. Your species appears resistant to this wave. That gives you power. Evan shook his head. It gives us responsibility. Kale stepped forward. Humans did not create the wave, they responded to it. Another voice joined in. And what if the next threat also requires humans? Evan answered calmly. Then we help, but not as tools, not as property. Selen raised a hand. The proposal is simple. Humans will be offered voluntary roles in crisis response, with protections. Evan studied the room. Offered, not forced. Yes, Selen confirmed. And no species gets to decide human value alone, Evan added. There was hesitation, then agreement. A new voice came through the chamber speakers. Incoming transmission. The room darkened slightly as a signal appeared. It was the same unknown signal the AI had mentioned earlier. Evan felt a chill. The signal resolved into a simple pattern. No face, no voice, just data. The AI translated. Message received, observation complete. Selen leaned forward. Who are you? The response came slowly. We are watchers, Kale stiffened. You observed the wave, Selen asked. Yes, the signal replied. And the response? Evan spoke before anyone could stop him. You caused it, silence. Then, yes, the chamber erupted in alarmed voices. Evan raised his hand. Why? To test, the signal said, to measure resilience. Evan's jaw tightened. People suffered. Yes, the signal replied. And adapted. Evan stepped closer to the projection. You were looking for something. Yes, the watchers said, a species that remains functional under uncertainty. The room went quiet. You found humans, Evan said. Yes. Evan felt anger rise, but it did not control him. You don't get to test us again, Evan said firmly. The signal paused. Your response is noted. And this, Evan continued, is where the test ends. Kale placed a hand on Evan's shoulder. The watchers spoke one last time. We will observe no further. The signal vanished. Silence filled the chamber. Selen looked at Evan with something close to awe. You just spoke for your entire species. Evan exhaled slowly. Someone had to. The council session ended soon after. Back in the hallway, Kale finally spoke. You faced them without fear. Evan shrugged. Fear doesn't help much. Kale looked thoughtful. That may be humanity's greatest strength. They returned to the bedroom one last time that night. Evan lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. So, Evan said, the galaxy knows now. Yes, Kale said. Evan smiled tiredly. Then let's make sure they learn the right lesson. Kale nodded. That humans are not weapons. And not victims, Evan added. Outside, Orion's station drifted peacefully among the stars. The night that had begun with a locked door had ended with an open future, and humanity had stepped into it, quietly, calmly, and together. Morning came quietly to Orion's station. There were no alarms, no shaking, no flashing lights. Just the soft hum of systems working as they should. Artificial sunlight slowly filled the corridors, warming metal walls and tired faces. Evan stood near the large viewing window in the residential wing, watching stars drift past. For the first time since the night began, he felt truly calm. Behind him, Kale entered the room, moving more steadily than before. You slept, Kale said. A little, Evan replied. Enough, Kale nodded. The station is fully stable. All reports confirm it. Evan smiled faintly. Good. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Kale spoke again. The council has released an official statement. Evan sighed. Let me guess, big words. Yes, Kale said, but meaningful ones. Kale activated a wall screen. A message appeared, translated into simple language for all species. Humanity recognized as stability partners. They would be unwise not to. Evan laughed softly. That's one way to put it. Across the station, humans were waking up to messages like this. Engineers, pilots, students, workers. Ordinary people who had lived quietly among the stars, suddenly aware that the galaxy had noticed them. But there was no panic, just questions and choices. Later that day, Evan walked through the central plaza. Life had returned. Shops reopened. Conversations filled the air. Different species moved together again, though with a new kind of awareness. Some looked at Evan with gratitude, some with curiosity, a few with uncertainty. Evan accepted all of it. A small child from a short, round species approached him carefully. "You're the human," the child said. Evan crouched to their level. "I am." "Did you save the station?" the child asked. Evan thought for a moment. "A lot of people saved the station. I just helped." The child smiled. "My mother says humans are calm." Evan smiled back. "Sometimes." That seemed to satisfy the child, who ran off happily. Kale watched the interaction. "You are changing perceptions." "I'm just being normal," Evan said. Kale's eyes softened. "That may be enough." That evening, Evan received one last request from the station AI. "Human Evan," it said, "a final data review is complete." Evan sat at the console one last time. "What did you find?" "The Watchers," the AI said. "They have withdrawn their probes from this region of space." Evan nodded. "Good." "They classified humanity as unpredictably stable," the AI continued. Evan raised an eyebrow. "That sounds like a compliment." "In this context," the AI said, "it is the highest one." Evan leaned back in his chair. "Then maybe they learned something." "Yes," the AI said. "As did we." Later, Evan and Kale returned to their room, the same door, the same space where everything had begun. Kale paused before closing the door. "Do you wish me to lock it?" Evan shook his head. "No." Kale left it open. They sat together, watching the soft lights outside. "You know," Evan said, "if you hadn't locked that door, none of this would have happened." Kale considered this. "True. And if you hadn't trusted me," Evan added, "it could have gone very wrong." "Also true," Kale said. Evan smiled. "Guess we both made choices." Kale nodded. "Good ones." Across the galaxy, reports continued to spread, not of fear, not of power, but of calm. Stories of humans standing steady when others could not. Humans helping without taking control. Humans refusing to be rulers or weapons, just partners. On distant stations, humans quietly volunteered to assist. Not all of them, only those who chose to, and that choice mattered. Days later, Evan prepared to return to his normal routine. Classes resumed. Life continued. As he left the room one morning, Kale spoke. "Evan." "Yeah." "If the galaxy calls again, what will you do?" Evan thought for a moment, then he shrugged. "I'll listen," he said. "Then I'll decide." Kale smiled, a rare and genuine expression. "That is why they needed you." Evan walked down the corridor, blending into the flow of life once more. No spotlight, no crown, just a human among many. And far beyond Orion Station in the silent dark, the Watchers recorded their final note. Humans do not dominate chaos. They endure it. And in doing so, they change everything. The door that once locked Evan in had opened something far greater. Not a prison, not a throne, but a future where humanity stood calm, steady, and unafraid.